Hey, welcome in, everybody. We are live here on YouTube, special Hafeman Bros Packer pregame for the Monday night showdown here with the Lions divisional opponent. Second game of the year, first division opponent of the year. We hope it's a very different game than it was in week one, which was yuck. So we have some things to talk about there. We mostly want to talk about the game coming up. We have a bit of a format for you tonight. There's a couple of added things. We're going to go over some Lions analysis that Ben did today. He'll be with us in just a second, and I'll let you guys get in here as well if you got some questions, comments, whatever. And then there's a couple of points here we want to go through, and then I want to talk to Ben and people in the chat about your reasons to be confident about tonight and if you have any reasons for concern. So that'll be later in the show as well. Couple of key updates here is just wanted to say that Lucas Patrick and Darnell Savage were both questionable. They are now both active. They've been declared active for the game tonight. So that solidifies the line a little bit on the inside, hopefully. And Savage is certainly probably their most speedy and potential playmaking type safety that could be on the field. So good to have him out there. Hopefully he stays on the field and doesn't get hurt. And of course, it is Ted Thompson night, honoring Ted Thompson here tonight against the Lions. Packers will be doing that for the first home game of the season. So, yeah. And again, Ted Thompson really thought of fondly by the whole Packer organization, so many people within the organization, and certainly was better than a number of GMs the Packers have had over the years. So we can say that about him. Was he as great as people thought he was for a while? Maybe not, but still certainly better than a lot of GMs Packers have had. So I'm not sure when Ben's ready, but he'll jump on as soon as he's done with a taco. I think he's having Paco's tacos tonight. I'm starting now with some Delta Beer Lab Golden Ale for Rick. Rick pounded like three of these on Saturday. Man, Rick drank almost all my golden ale. He only left me with one. Again, apologies to the regulars. We did want to get to a show this weekend. We didn't get a chance to. Sorry about that.
Michelob, you talking about that Michelob you were giving me?
It is not Michelob. This is golden ale. Oh no, Rick got two. You started one, took like 3 drinks, then gave it to your wife. You big sissy.
Tasted like Michelob to me. They all taste the same. Crap.
Come on. This beer right here has a lot more thought and craft put into it than the mass production of Michelob's. What do you think about Savage and Lucas Patrick, both active? Does that make you happy?
Sure.
Better than Equanimous St. Brown. Elevated for the game. What's up with that? Any ideas?
Well, hey, this is a guy who gets to play against his brother, so let's activate him, even though we don't need him, because we're the Packers and we do dumb stuff. We need to win games, but instead we're going to just do that. Whatever. It's nothing new.
It'll be fine. I'm sure he won't see the field, and that's good.
You probably, hopefully not. No, but never know.
We'll see. Maybe they're gonna do a bunch of empties in this game again too.
That's what Bruce was talking about earlier today.
God,
he was like, "Yeah, we need all these receivers because we're gonna do all empty formations, 5 wide receiver sets. They're gonna bring in Equanimous. He's gonna play left tackle for a while."
Hey, before we get onto the Packers here, it was a wild Sunday in the NFL. Holy cow! Lots of close games, lots of exciting games, some overtime games. The Vikings had another classic finish. Oh boy, Vikings. Viking Mo's got to be sad. And I know Jesse's a Viking fan too, kind of, but probably not as big of a deal to her.
She probably didn't even know they played yesterday, and it was Sunday. No, I'm just kidding. But she doesn't care.
Yeah, it's still a classic finish. And then I guess there was a clip that the Vikings radio guys or somebody announced it the final field goal as good initially. They thought it was good. So
was it Dennis or was it Paul Allen?
I don't remember.
Really loud and annoying guy that's always on the radio all the time around here.
I don't remember, but I caught some that was circulating around social media because
I'll have to check that out.
they called it as good and they missed it. Oh, poor Vikings.
He's a dingus.
Poor Vikings. But the Vikings lost and the Bears won. Crappy Bears.
I know.
Did win. So now someone in the division has won. Dang it. Packers better be the other one that wins.
Right. Hey, before we get into the night's game, something showed up on my game pass thing today.
What's that?
It was a Packer game from Thanksgiving.
Ooh.
I think it was 2016. The last year of Micah Hyde. The first year of ha. Jordy was hurt. The first series, the Packers' 3 receivers on the field were Randall Cobb, Jared Abbrederis, and Jeff Janis. So that tells you how good that was. Even though Devontae was on the team, by the way.
Really?
He was not on the field on one of the plays because there's 3 receivers, and those were 3 receivers. Anyways, the reason why I bring this up is because I was going to go through some things for you. Are you ready? Because we talked about last week about Aaron Rodgers.
Can I do one quick tie-in off of that since it's there? So Jared Abbrederis also then went to play for the Lions, just like another guy who wore 84, Bill Schrader, who also went to play for the Lions after playing for the Packers. Just some little Packer history there for you. Go ahead now.
Okay, here's the thing.
Hey, Double Doings in the house. How you doing?
Last week, Aaron Rodgers said he knew that when the Packers were down 17-3, after he threw his first interception at the start of the third quarter, he said, I knew the game was pretty much over. So I thought, well, let's take a look at that Thanksgiving game. Because if you remember, that was the Hail Mary Rodgers to Rodgers game where the game wasn't over until the very, 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 like not even the last second. It was the 0 second. And that Aaron Rodgers from 2016 would have never said what this Aaron Rodgers said earlier this week. So I figured out, I was like, okay, well, so here's the score. With 8:56 in the third quarter, the Packers were down 0-20.
Ooh,
which is worse than 3-17. Yes.
Wow.
I didn't remember that either. Then third quarter, with 5:44 left in the third quarter, the Packers are down 7-20. And the only reason why they scored that touchdown is because James Starks fumbled the ball on his way into the end zone, and then Randall Cobb jumped on for the touchdown. Okay. The very next possession, the very first play, Julius Peppers causes Matt Stafford to fumble. The Packers get the ball back, and they scored another touchdown at 4:06 in the third quarter left. They were down 14-20. Okay. Fourth quarter, nothing happened for a long time. Then at 6 minutes and 40 seconds to 6 minutes, 40 seconds to go, the Lions scored a field goal. They were down the Packers were down 14-23. With 3 minutes and 4 seconds to go, the Packers scored a touchdown. They were down 21-23. Okay. And then with 23 seconds left, Packers down 21-23 on their own 21-yard line. And threw an incomplete pass. The Packers were down 16 with only 16 seconds left. They were down 21-23 on their own 21-yard line. And that was when they did the crazy wackadoo, where guys caught it. They threw it back, and the guy grabbed Rodgers' face mask, and they called the face mask. And the Packers had the ball with 0 seconds left on their own 39-yard line. And Rodgers threw up the Hail Mary to Richard Rodgers and caught it. There's another example of Aaron Rodgers fighting until the end. If Aaron Rodgers would have said at 0-20 with 8:56 left in the third quarter, the game's pretty much over, and just slack off like he did in week 1, there would never been the Hail Mary play. It would never happened because Aaron Rodgers would have just gave up. You would have saw whoever the stupid backup was that year. It was probably crappy. What's his face? What's his name? Number 7.
Brett Hundley?
Yeah, Brett Hundley. I would have been him. Here's the other key things from that game, just real quick. Devontae Adams had 69 pass attempts, or 59 catches.
In the season?
In the season prior to that. And his first touchdown was against the Lions in that game, even though he had 69 catches prior, or 59 pass attempts to him, not 69 catches. He also had a huge drop on third down, which cost him the game, almost cost him the game, but they ended up winning. Here's the other key factor.
That was his second year where he had a lot of drops and was a rough year then.
Well, that was when they needed him to be the man because Doherty got hurt. The other thing was James Jones was on that. He was on the team. Yeah. Randall Cobb was on the team. Devontae Adams was on the team. And like I said, Jared Abbrederis and Jeff Janis were on the field on one play. And most of those guys weren't. Randall Cobb was the third receiver. Anyways, here's another key thing. Richard Rodgers had 7 catches for 100 yards before he caught the Hail Mary. He was the guy who kept them getting them back in the game.
He could catch
later on because Rodgers went to him because he didn't drop anything because other guys were dropping balls. So he went to Richard Rodgers over and over and over, and that got him back in the game. Plus, James Starks looked real fast and real good, and Fatty Lacey looked like a big pile of dog crap. So bad they even brought in Zach Crockett. Remember Zach Crockett when they had?
I do remember. Yeah.
Some Crockett guy. Some Crockett, not Zach Crockett. It was a different.
No, it was John Crockett.
John Crockett. They brought him in for a couple plays, and he ran pretty good for a little bit. Then he kind of stunk up the joint, and they didn't put him back in. But just a heads up on that game. So I'm just trying to prove the point that Aaron Rodgers in the past did not have this mentality he has this year. So I don't know if it's because he's upset with the organization, if it's because he's found his zen and he no longer needs to play to win games in football. He's got the money, he's got the lady, he's got his piece. He doesn't need to try anymore. I don't know, but it bothers me that this same guy who had a huge comeback against the Bears when they were down by 17 points, had a huge game against the Lions where they're down 20-0 with 8:56 left in the third quarter, decided the game was over after one pick in the end zone or in the red zone at the beginning of the third quarter last week. One more thing, we talk about Packers defenses and how they suck for the last 4 years. Listen to this lineup here. These are the guys that played defense for the Packers.
In that same game?
In that game in 2016
okay. All right.
Against the Lions. Micah Hyde, Casey Hayward, Shields, Quentin Rollins actually made a couple plays in that game. Clinton Dix actually made a couple plays, but he was playing around the line of scrimmage, by the way. He was not the deep safety back then. Morgan Burnett was the deep safety in that whole entire game. And Dix was playing around the line of scrimmage more. They had Jake Ryan at linebacker. They had Julius Peppers. Mike Daniels was living in the backfield for a lot of the game. Like he was just schooling the guy in front of him, getting back there. They had LaTroy Guion and made a couple good plays, but he also jumped off sides one time and cost us. Mike Neal had a good play here and there. Joe Thomas was in on passing downs. Even Dayton Jones did something one time.
Whoa.
BJ Raji was in there a couple times. Nick Perry was in there one play that I saw him. He didn't do anything. And here was the key. Here's the thing that people remember. I'm sure they remember from that season because this was the turnaround. This was the run the table season. Clay Matthews played inside linebacker on first and second down. And on third down, he went to pass rush. And he pass rushed from like Za'Darius Smith mode where he stood above the center, but he stood above the center at like middle linebacker and then just pass rushed. And that was what brought him back in the game and stopped the Lions from scoring points because the Lions only scored 3 points in the whole second half. So think about those defensive players: Micah Hyde, Casey Hayward, Shields, Clay Matthews, Julius Peppers, Mike Daniels. I mean, that's just 6 guys right there who are awesome players, and they were awesome players at that time. Our defense now, what do we have?
Well, I'll tell you what we have.
Alexander, and that's it.
No. I'll tell you what we have, Ben, because this is something. It's an interesting thing, and it's again mind-boggling why the defense is so bad. And again, the Saints game yesterday, just to reference that here, why don't we pull this up real quick? Because it's disgusting to see. Before we get into tonight's game and like hopefully what's going to be better, let's kind of just put a capper on this in perspective on how bad the Packers defense was last week as well. I understand one of your concerns, so that would be reason for concern. You thinking reason for concern, Aaron Rodgers not having the same fight. Yep. Another reason for concern, the Packers defense. Jameis Winston, after last week's game against the Packers, people were like, oh my God, he's so great. Look at how refined he is. He's awesome. Oh my God, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. He only had 6 incompleted passes or whatever it was. Well, this is what he did yesterday. 11 of 22, 111 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks. That's Jameis Winston. That's Jameis Winston right there. But that Jameis Winston, the Packers made look really good, right?
Yeah, he was 14 out of 20 for 120 or 150 yards or whatever and 5 touchdowns.
Yep. And let's
same guy.
Here's the other alarming part. Another reason for concern. We'll get our concerns out of the way. Saints had 171 rushing yards against the Packers. Yesterday, they had 48 rushing yards.
They were losing for most of the game, so.
I understand.
But of course, they only had 80 passing. What?
Yes.
Well, listen, we know Carolina's defense is good, and they were good last year, so they're probably only even better this year under the same coaching staff and another year of experience.
And the other part, third down efficiency. The Saints were like well above 50% against the Packers. They were 2 out of 11 on third down yesterday and 0 for 2 on fourth down. So 2 out of 13 on third or fourth down against the Panthers, whereas against the Packers, they were like 60%. I think they were 2 out of 2 on fourth down, and they were like 50% on third down. So, yuck. Okay.
Yikes.
Just reasons for concern. Reasons for concern. And okay, let's finish up. This is what the Packers defense is, Ben. You talked about those players that are on the defense at that point. Well, the Packers have this. Okay, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 first-round picks on this defense right now. I'm calling Kevin King. So we have Rashawn Gary, we have Darnell Savage, we have Jair Alexander, Kenny Clark, and Kevin King.
Eric Stokes
too, sure. Okay. But he's not even on the field.
He plays.
Well, sort of. Okay, fine. So we have that many first-round picks. Kevin King was almost a first-round pick. Shouldn't have been, clearly. But we have that many first-round picks on the defense, and then high-priced free agents. We have Za'Darius, Preston, Amos, and Devondre Campbell, who's kind of like a, decent free agent signing, like a little more commitment free agent signing. So all those guys are on this Packers defense, and the defense is still that bad. That is a reason for concern. On the offense, we only have 2 first-round picks that kind of play, Aaron Rodgers and then Big Dog, who kind of plays. That's it.
It's bad.
But the offense is supposed to carry this team. The defense is just supposed to be helped out by the offense all the time, even though all of the picks, all of the investment, all the free agent signings are on the defensive side. So that's also perplexing and a reason for concern.
Yeah.
But we're going to move on to reasons to be confident in a little while.
Well, you want me to get into the Lions 49ers game? It won't take maybe 10 minutes on that.
I do. Yes. Let's talk about that, because then we'll come back to what the Packers defense hopefully can do and what we expect from them with no Za'Darius Smith.
Okay, here's what I noticed. Okay, first of all, Jared Goff and Jimmy Garoppolo are terrible. Like, it's not even like Jordan Love is better than both of them. Like, it's not even close. Okay. And Jimmy Garoppolo is a little better than Jared Goff, but Jared Goff was clearly off. Like, Goff off. Like, that's all I can say. He was so bad. I mean, he was missing. If the pass was more than 10 yards downfield or 5 yards to the outside, he missed it. He just missed like wide open guys, like off their fingers, not even close. Like, terrible. Like, there are guys wide open. And he got lucky later on in the game because Cephas went up and grabbed a couple. He grabbed a touchdown, and he grabbed another one where, he jumped up and grabbed the ball, but it wasn't a good pass. But the touchdown was, but some other passes weren't. So that's one thing. Number 2, the best player on the Lions offensive team is Jamal Williams.
What?
Straight up. Jamal Williams is their best offensive player. Like, I'm not even kidding. The guy who couldn't even be on our team is their best. And you know why? He just puts his head down and runs straight, dude. He doesn't juke around. He doesn't try running the outside. He had huge runs. Like, you're talking, 7-yard run, 9-yard run, 12-yard run, stuff like that. He just went straight up the gut. No messing around, straight up the gut. And then he also had a lot of dump offs where he caught him and got first downs, or caught him and ran a little bit and whatever. And that was before they were down by a lot. Okay. Another key guy, Hawkinson. Jared Goff looks to Hawkinson constantly. Like, that's the only guy he looks at. I don't know if they run plays just for him, but look, the Packers need to double team Hawkinson and clog up the middle.
Wait. Whoa.
But we're not getting to that. Okay.
No. I just want to say, so you're saying that the Packers need to double team the tight end when they normally choose to not cover the tight end at all.
Right. That's what we have a problem.
Okay.
Because what's our weakest position? Inside linebacker. And what do they usually cover? The tight end and the running backs. Okay. Here's their third best guy is Swift. He comes in and he gets big, fast plays. Like, he turns a little dump off into like a 30-yard gain. He has a lot of like 2-yard gains and 0-yard gains. And then all of a sudden he sneaks out of the backfield and Goff just passes a 2-yard pass to him and he runs for 30 freaking yards because the defense is worried about these receivers that Goff can't even hit anyways because he's terrible. But that happened. And then Cephas is their 4th best guy. Look out for him. But that's what I'm saying.
So
it's like
I'm a little concerned about that.
Offense.
I'm concerned about that one too, because that's passes to running backs in the flat, and the Packers' offensive inside linebackers are slow, and they have a hard time covering the flat.
If they do what they did last week, where they just sit back and give them 5 yards of free reign, Jared Goff will just pick them apart. He'll drive down the field,
stump it off.
They might not score a touchdown, but they'll get field goals every possession. And Rodgers will be sitting on the sidelines the whole game again. because Goff does not throw the ball downfield very often. And when he does, he's not accurate. I mean, he dumped off to Jamal Williams and Swift and Hockenson. Like, that's it. Until the end where they were down by a bunch and they had to come back. Then he started throwing to the receivers more.
Okay.
You know, so that's all I can say. They came back. The only reason why they came back is the 49ers are playing prevent defense. So they backed up and gave Goff, that short pass, like I was just saying. And that's how they came back. And they scored, and then they got a easy, like an onside kick, jumped off of Kittle's face because he had like a really low, and then all of a sudden it hit something weird and then bounced straight up because he was expected to stay low. He just bounced off his face. So it's like just a weird bounce. And then later on, Deebo Samuel's fumbled. So then they were down by 8 with 49 seconds left, and they were able to go down and almost score a touchdown again. But then Goff threw 4 incompletions and they lost. But so, and as far as the defense goes, it was hard for me to tell what the Lions defense can do because the 49ers and Garoppolo pretty much did the same thing the Lions did. They didn't throw downfield hardly at all. They did get the ball to Deebo Samuel, but that was like, screens and like quick passes and stuff. And they ran the ball efficiently. And they also got a lot of passes to George Kittle. One thing about what this game showed me is if the Packers wanted to feature Robert Tonyan, it's very easy to do this. They choose not to throw the ball to him. Rodgers chooses not to throw the ball to Tonyan, period. Because Hockenson and Kittle got a bunch of targets.
But are they using him correctly? Are they using him? They need to use him more attacking down the seam. They need to, because he has speed and he can leverage guys. They talk about all the time how he's so good at stemming his routes and like leveraging guys and then stemming. They talk about the intricacies and the fine part of route running all the time. Route running, I know you want me to say. But Bobby Tonyan, Robert, he's great at attacking down the middle. But then they run him on all those little, LaFleur plays out in the flat, cross formation, all that sort of stuff. That's great and all to do that sometimes. We already know he's not great running after the catch. He's not elusive. He's not good at breaking tackles. So let him run without the ball in his hands, get downfield, and then throw it to him when he's downfield. That's the way they need to use him and attack more that way with Robert Tonyan. That would be smart.
Rodgers won't throw the ball in the middle of the field. So
he will if he's wide open.
Like to see them
if they're playing cover 2 where the safeties are split and he attacks the middle, he'll throw it to him.
Well, I don't know if the Lions are going to be playing cover 2. But they might, based on what the Saints did last week.
Probably will.
But the Packers, I don't. Okay, whatever. We want to get into what we think they need to do or whatever. Or you got other stuff going on.
Go ahead. You finish
based on what I saw, the 49ers and Detroit specifically run plays to get their tight end involved because it's like their playmaking guy on the team. Like it's their number one playmaking guy.
Yep.
And the Packers choose not to. Like Tonyan had 0 targets hardly at all in that game. Now, the Packers didn't have the ball for very much, but still. And not only that, Jamal Williams just showed us like he ran straight. He just ran straight. Why can't we block for A.J. Dillon like that? Just stick it back in the I formation. Just let him run.
Looking at
the huge hole.
Looking at the tape, how did you think? Because I've heard that the Lions' offensive line is improved. How was their run blocking? How was their blocking?
It was good. I mean, especially up the middle. They don't do a bunch of goofy, stuff where they're like, everybody go over here and try to get in front of somebody. No, they just get off the ball, smack you. And then Jamal Williams just runs straight. And then there's a hole and he finds the hole and he runs. And there were a couple of times where the hole wasn't there and he just, of course, ran right into somebody's back and fell down. We watched him do that for years with the Packers. But when the hole was there, he took off for 7, 8, 9 yards. Like it was crazy. He looked like a freaking superstar and he looked fast and he just didn't care. He was just like, wow. And he gets up and he does his little, does all, and all the Lions go crazy. You know what I mean? It was in Detroit. So
yeah,
fans love that crap.
Yep.
So I think the Lions offensive line is pretty good at run blocking. And I think we need to play our 3 big dudes down there and stop that crap from happening. Do not be concerned with Jared Goff throwing deep. If he beats you once, he'll be lucky. Play tight coverage, play a zone, but play it close, like within 10 yards. Everybody within 10 yards and maybe just one guy deep to look out for like a pass that might go bad or something. But even that I wouldn't even do. I would not worry about Jared Goff.
I mean, look, the Packers defense got run all over last week. My biggest concern would be they're going to not be able to stop the run this week. I mean, that's the easiest way to play football. You keep possession of the ball, like we said. You make the defense tired. You keep the ball away from the Packers offense. Like, if I were the Lions, I would be committed to the run all game long if I could. So, especially with Jared Goff as my quarterback. So if the Packers do stupid like coverage stuff and don't gear up to stop the run, I will just I'll lose my mind because it doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
You
Any
got
comments? Anybody got anything to say?
to stop the run.
Comments there?
Double Doink's wondering, if let's see, anybody concerned about Goff? No, you already covered that.
No.
Rick says he's got to head home and then he's going to check back in later. Eka says he got the Jones jersey. He's like, let's run for the 300. I think he means 300 yards. He said 300 hours, but I think I know what he meant. He says, let Rodgers have a game next week. Family's coming over. He's going to hope the Packers run it a bunch. And that's the other part. The Packers got to run the ball, and they got to run the ball effectively. What did you see in the Lions defense in terms of stopping the run? Should we be able to run on the Lions defense? What do you think?
Well, I mean, it was the 49ers, so they didn't do a very good job of stopping the run because 49ers offense is like a well-oiled machine. You know what I mean? I mean, they did okay. They had a couple plays here and there, but and the 49ers didn't even have like all their guys. Like they had some guys I never even heard of playing running back, and he's running for a touchdown and like 25-yard touchdown and stuff like that. So, I mean, and then in the second half, it was just kind of a weird game where, they knew they were going to run. So they just, they were up by so much. They were up 41-17 at one point. So with 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, they were up 41-17, 49ers. So they were just running the ball like right up the gut and just not even doing anything crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that the pass rush for the Lions didn't really get there, but I don't know if the 49ers offensive line is that much better than the Packers. I think the Packers offensive line is decent at pass blocking for the most part. I think we all agree with that. But the problem is if Rodgers just needs to take what they give him. I mean, the 49ers moved the ball down the field with Jimmy Garoppolo, who just dumped it off to the running back, dumped it off to Deebo Samuel. They did a play to get George Kittle open for 10 yards or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it was just simple crap. It wasn't a 35-yard bomb to look cool because Jimmy Garoppolo can't throw the ball down that far, right? And the Lions couldn't stop him. So if the Packers just are smart, and use guys and do stuff, they should be okay. Unless the Lions play man-to-man bump and run coverage and mess with them and get everybody off their routes and stuff. And then Rodgers got nowhere to go with the ball, then it'd be a problem. But if they can establish the run and then use play action off of that, it'd be fine. They just couldn't. Like last week, the second drive, they ran twice with AJ Dillon, got a first down, and then Rodgers took that huge sack. And after that, that drive was over because it was then second and 21, and then that was done, right?
Yep.
And the whole second half, Rodgers gave up. So they can't do that crap anymore. He cannot take a sack of 1st and 10. They have to run the ball, and they have to get easy passes for him, and he should take the easy pass. Take the easy pass.
They had almost no play action last week either because they wouldn't run the ball, right? And how great was play action for their offense last year? He had
they were the best.
I forget it. He had 24 of his touchdown passes off of play action plays, right? Something crazy like half his touchdowns were off of play action. So Double Doink points out the Lions lost their top cornerback, Jeff Okudah.
Yep.
They did. They're down to their number one cornerback. I was listening to Andy Herman today. He's kind of like a guy that should be probably like a 4th cornerback on most teams. He's their number 1 guy. So maybe there's a way to attack the corners. And we've talked about that before.
That's what scares me.
Right.
That's what they're going to think.
We got to pass. But
right.
But the Packers have to run the ball. They have to run it. They have to do it. It's easier for the offensive line as well. Like you said that you think the offensive line is good at pass blocking. I'm not as sure about that. Especially when you have Royce Newman and Billy Turner right next to each other, and then Myers is the center. Like, I mean, that's a little scary. That's like half the line that scares me a bit. And then LP wasn't even playing that good, and he was hurt, and now he's coming back in to be in the game. So I'm a little scared about that. But what that means is this: Aaron Rodgers has to show us that he is as smart as he thinks he is, to be like, okay, I understand what this line can do and what it can't do. And so I need to deliver the ball and deal the ball quickly because they can't hold up. So I need to take the pressure off of this offensive line when we're doing pass plays and make sure I make quick decisions and get rid of the freaking ball. Okay. None of this like hold the ball for too long. No. Not with these guys on the offensive line. It's not going to work. So Aaron Rodgers needs to be smart enough to make that adjustment in his game, even though he wants to do other stuff. I don't care. He needs to adapt to his offensive line, his surroundings, show us that he can adapt to that, not expect more out of guys that can't do what you want them to do. Like, live in reality, understand this O-line is what it is. Guys that are trying to get better, that are young, and then Billy Turner, holy crap, and just get rid of the freaking ball, dude, because you're not going to have much time.
It's interesting because the 49ers started their interior offensive line was 2 rookies and a guy they drafted last year who sat out last year because of COVID. So it's all their first year. And one of them was Humphreys, the guys that people were saying the Packers might draft, and they chose Myers ahead of Humphreys. The Humphreys went like right after him. The 49ers drafted him. Or maybe it was right before or one vice versa.
Humphrey went to the Chiefs, but
was it the Chiefs? That's what I was talking about. The Chiefs had all guys.
Chiefs O-line, yeah.
I was watching that game last night. That's what it was. But still, those guys, the Chiefs had to rebuild their entire. They have all 5 new starters on that offensive line, and they look great. Yeah, they lost last night, but it wasn't because it was because they were dumb. They fumbled or whatever it was. I can't remember what happened at the end. It's something dumb. Lamar Jackson got lucky and won. But that's the thing where like the Chiefs have all their interior guys are young guys, and they're gelling and promote and scoring points. Now they do have Patrick Mahomes too and all that kind of stuff, but the Packers need. What I'm trying to get at is I think the Packers probably took the wrong guys, which we know. Even if they would have taken 2 guys we liked, there's still another guy, Humphrey, who is the center for the Chiefs now, who was good too that they could have taken. Instead, they chose Myers. That's the problem.
Look, since we went to that game real quick, I just wanted to point out one thing. I was watching part of that game on Sunday Night Football, and so it was 14-7, and the Ravens were running the heck out of the ball, running it down their throat. They couldn't stop them, right? And they get to the red zone, and they threw 3 times in a row. And I was just like, what is it with offensive coordinators in the NFL? What in the hell is like, we watched that for years with the Vikings, right? Where Adrian Peterson would pound the hell out of the Packers. And you're like, oh crap, if they keep giving them the ball, we're screwed. And then they'd be like, nope, we're going to put it in Christian Ponder's hands now and let him throw for the touchdown. And then the drive would stall and the Vikings would either turn it over or kick a field goal and the Packers could then win. What in the hell is wrong with these old coordinators? Like, you're running the heck out of the ball. Keep running the ball. What the hell?
That's kind of what the Lions did against the 49ers in the first half of the game last week too. Because with Jamal Williams was running right up the gut and going crazy. And then all of a sudden they got in the red zone and they started doing dumb stuff. And I was just like, why are you guys, what is going on? and that's really our only hope, is because Anthony Lynn is the offensive coordinator for the Lions. And we all know how dumb he is from when he was the head coach of the Chargers the last couple of years. Like, they had how many mixed up mess ups at the end of the game that they lost all these close games last year, right? Because of him like doing dumb things. He wasn't going to play Justin Herbert because he was a rookie.
Yep.
Even though he's way better than Tyrod Taylor, but whatever. But it's like, so that's really our only hope. Hopefully Anthony Lynn will be dumb, call a couple Jared Goff passes every now and again, doesn't really screw up. Like, if they ran on every play, they'd probably be fine. But we'll see what happens. I mean, it's a hope. I think that's one of the things to look forward to. That Anthony Lynn is the offensive coordinator of the Lions, and he'll do something dumb, and the Packers maybe have a chance.
We'll put that under reasons to be confident.
Yeah, I'm confident.
Double Doink points out the 49ers had 3 sacks and 9 quarterback hits last week. So this brings me to my next question, Ben. So this will affect the pass rush. Everybody's concerned now. How are the Packers going to get pass rush without Zadarius Smith? How is that going to look without Zadarius? Tell me how they can still get a pass rush in this game.
Well, they can blitz. I wouldn't hurt anybody.
Right.
Because guess what? Well, I don't know. It's weird because I don't think they need a pass rush. What they need, if they play tighter coverage, closer to the line of scrimmage, and force Jared Goff to throw the ball deeper or hold the ball a little longer than he wants to, I think eventually our rush will get there and make a play of some sort. Okay. But Goff did have a couple scrambles, and he did extend some drives that way in the game against the 49ers too. But it's one of those things where it's almost like going against Drew Brees. Like last year when the Packers played the Saints and Drew Brees was quarterback, and I got to watch the All-22 film, there were times where a safety and Jair Alexander were running 40 yards deep with the receiver that was running 40 yards deep where Drew Brees was a starting quarterback. Like on the play that Alvin Kamara had that huge run or whatever. There were guys 40 yards covering receivers downfield 40 yards. And that's why there was nobody there to tackle Kamara except for our guy, Ty Summers, who took the bad angle and missed him. Otherwise, if they would just not, like, don't worry about that guy. He's not going to throw it that far. He's not going to be accurate. I mean, you can't leave him like completely open, but I mean, like I don't know. Just have one safety who sits back there, and if somebody goes deep, have him run over to that side.
Yeah.
And if two guys go deep, okay, well, they get a touchdown on that play. Who cares? It's not going to happen very often. I'm telling you. Eventually, somebody will get there and make a play. And then, along with that, if you have a bunch of guys crowded by line of scrimmage, you could blitz. You could send guys that normally wouldn't be sent. Maybe Chandon Sullivan, though he actually sucks at blitzing because he never gets there when he does. But Savage is pretty good at it. Amos can get there. Send a couple linebackers. What the hey? Send Oren Burks. Oren Burks in that first preseason game, remember, he just kept running straight through line of scrimmage, and everybody's like, Oren Burks, look at him go crazy.
Yeah.
Just do that. Just send him all the damn time and let everybody else cover. You'll get there and mess up the play. That's ways to do it. But if they play off, it doesn't matter. They're not going to get any pass rushing time because Goff just dumps it off all the time. So play tighter defense, play closer to the line of scrimmage, have one guy worry about something deep, and mess it up. Mess up the plays. Make Goff hold the ball longer than he wants to. You'll get there. He is not confident in his arm. Trust me, he stinks.
I'd also say a more disciplined rush, like you mentioned. He ran for a couple of plays last week. More disciplined rush on the inside. Like you can still run stunts, but you got to maintain at least some sort of. You can't leave a giant hole right up the middle for the quarterback to run through. Because the other thing about it's not as important as the interior guys get to the quarterback. It's more important that they get a little push, create some semblance of pressure. Like Goff will feel pressured even if they start getting closer to him. So it's more about push than around your guy and maintaining, not giving an easy out, because I believe Rashawn Gary is going to get there most of the time. And I think Preston Smith is going to be highly motivated in this game to be like, hey, I'm going to get more snaps. Z's not going to be gobbling up my plays. I'm going to show everybody that I can still do this. So I think the pass rush could be better than we would expect for those reasons, as long as the inside guys maintain some sort of gap integrity. I think it'll be fine. And then bring some pressures. Like you said, that's great. Now I'm going to put no Zadarius Smith for me as a reason to be confident. And I'm going to tell you why. Now, is the pass rush better with Zadarius? Probably. But I still think the guys are capable they have. But you know what is definitely better without Zadarius on the field? The Packers edge setting and run defense, and they need to stop the run. So I feel better about their run defense tonight without Zadarius Smith getting way out of his gap, not maintaining the edge, all that stuff that we see over and over again. So I'm putting no Zadarius as a reason to be confident. What you think about that?
Well, I mean, I'm more confident in the defense with him not there. Yes.
What does that
I've
say?
said it many-
He's supposed to be like our number one guy, all pros and Darius, and we're more confident when he's not on the field than when he is.
Well, apparently his teammates are too, because they didn't vote him as captain, and he had to make his own little C pendant or whatever that he wore in practice, or I don't know what was going on. I heard something about that. Like, I got to be honest, man. This team seems about as split and not together as I've ever heard of. And like Matt LaFleur's like, oh, we have so many guys who got votes. That's because we have so many great leaders. No, maybe it's because you have a bunch of cliques with a bunch of different guys who are like, I don't know. And one guy, Aaron Rodgers, needs to step up and be like, hey, this is our team. I'll lead us to the promised land. I'm the man, not this. Yeah, we got 16 more games and we'll see what happens. No. The other thing that you said, very interesting about the defense, you said about doing stunts and leaving wide open holes and stuff. The thing that they did last week that was even dumber was they did those stunts, right? Leaving wide open holes. And they also played super deep back, like coverage way back here, which gives the quarterback 10 yards to run. Like, if you're going to do stunts, then you got to play tighter, right? I mean, either way, I think you should play tighter. Like, if you're worried about getting beat deep, it's going to happen. I mean, it happened last week. They sent that little fast guy 11 past Kevin King again, and boom, touchdown. I mean, it's going to happen, especially with Kevin King on the field. That's the other thing. If he doesn't play as much, that would make me confident. Eric Stokes will be out there. Maybe he'll run around and do something.
Maybe. I hope so. But yeah, it's interesting that this team, like, I believe what you said is absolutely correct. They just seem so not together. And guys have talked about, in football forever, they've talked about chemistry in the locker room being kind of like a key ingredient to getting you to be a really good team and have a really great season, right? And sometimes being able to make it to the Super Bowl. This team right now has no connectivity, no chemistry. Like you said, it seems very fragmented, but there are tight guys in little clumps. But they need somebody to lock it down, to like fall everybody in line. And it's interesting. They made comments this week about, Matt LaFleur's comments where he was impressed by the guys leading by example this week. And other guys have talked about how positive the coaches were after that terrible game and how that was so great for them and all this sort of stuff. So that's kind of an interesting philosophical question for anybody that's still in the chat. While Double Doink says that Devondre Swift and Jamal Williams will have 214 yards and 2 touchdowns tonight, which if they do, that would be really bad. But putting yourself in a football player's mindset, would you prefer to have, after just a butt whipping terrible game like that, would you prefer to get cracked down on by your coaches and your leaders? Or would you prefer them to be very positive about, oh, no, we still know what we're doing. We still got a great team, all this sort of stuff. What do you think? What would you prefer?
Me personally?
Yeah, you personally.
Well, what would I want is for them to be nice to me, but what would be best is for them to get on me. Okay. Listen, you saw it with me when we were in college. Remember when we had cabaret rehearsal at one time? And me and Countryman stayed up all night rearranging the song because they screwed up the arrangement. It was different than what we had done. I can't remember what it was. I think it was Bohemian Rhapsody or whatever it was. And we had to rearrange everything at night. Me and Countryman stayed up all night long. And one of us went to rehearsal. The other one didn't for the morning. And the other guy went home and took a nap. And then I went in for the second half of the thing. And I showed up and all the guys were just slacking off. And we had the 2 girls there supposed to be teaching us to dance things. And none of the guys were talking, not paying attention. And I just lost my crap because I had gotten no sleep and I was done. And I was just like, you lazy sacks of crap, start paying attention and start goofing off. We got a show coming up in like less than a week. And half you guys don't even know what the hell you're doing. And I had to let them all have it. And you said this right from the start when you first got to Statesman, which is the all-male, 65 all-male choir. You were like, this feels just like football. And it was. There was a bunch of dudes trying to get together to make something awesome happen. And if your leaders aren't taking charge and being like, dudes, let's go. And I was a guy who'd been there a long time. And in this group, we had 20, 25 guys or whatever that made the cabaret team and whatever. And I had to lay into them. And then, and the worst part was I had to use guys as an example. Like, and then Mo was like, yeah, whatever, man. And I was like, Mo, and you can start with you or what? I yelled at Mo. And Mo, remember, he brings it up to me every now and again.
Should yell at him just for being a Vikings fan. You should yell at him.
Well, that's not why I yelled at him, but I yelled at him because he was, talking back. He thought I was goofing off. He thought I was just like being funny or whatever. But I was super, because I was almost like crying because I was so freaking upset. Like I was so mad. I was like tears mad, like angry, tears, super mad. And especially when you have a bunch of guys, and a lot of the guys that we had that year were veteran guys. I don't know if you remember this, but there were very few guys that were new. There was a lot of guys who had done it before, so they kind of know what's going on. And when you take it easy on guys who've been there before and know what's going on, then they're just like, oh yeah, we got this. We got this. We got this. And they don't, like the urgency doesn't kick in. And as much as a lot of these Packers that we have are veteran players and know what's going on, sometimes they need a little kick in the rump, And if the fact that half of them had to redo their contracts this offseason because they were making too much to keep them on the team, if apparently that wasn't enough to wake them up and make them realize the urgency, maybe the coaches need to get on them too. And I don't think any of these coaches are get on you guys. They're all butt kiss guys. I mean, look at Smith with Za'Darius and And Rashawn Gary, all he ever says about Rashawn Gary does all the way. Okay, this is his third year. He's a freaking number 12 overall pick. He should be a freaking superstar.
Right.
Other guys drafted from that year in the top 15 are all superstars. Every one of them. Every one of them. TJ Hawkinson, for instance, is a superstar. Is Rashawn Gary a superstar? No, he's an afterthought because his coach doesn't ride him. So I think it's dumb. They need to get on these guys and freaking show them the urgency. Because if you just were like, hey, guys, that was an aberration, man. We know what we need to do, guys. We know what we need to do. I'll tell you this much. If they come out this game and are as flat as they were last week, that will not be the message this week. And it better not be the message this week coming up after this game. Even if they win it and they're flat and play like crap, I would hope that the coaches get on them. Because one time is fine. One time you can say, okay, well, you guys, you're veterans. You know what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And I know the offensive line's got a bunch of rookies, but everything else, the whole defense is all veterans. They've all been here at least 1 year before. And most of the offense is a bunch of veterans. Just a couple of interior offensive linemen that have never been there before. So that's what I think. I think they should have been getting on them and making them realize that there is an urgency. It was an embarrassment. Like Matt LaFleur said, even though Aaron Rodgers was like, I wouldn't say that. I mean, it's just, we got 16 more games. I mean, it wasn't an embarrassment. What was an embarrassment? 38-3? That's not an embarrassment. That's an embarrassment.
Absolutely. I mean, you in football, just like in music, a lot of times you work and you rehearse or you practice, whatever, a bunch, and then you get your opportunity to perform in front of people. And that's showtime or game time. And if you stink in that, yeah, that should bother you. That should, like, you don't get, I understand it's a long season for them in a way, but it's really only, 16, 17, it's only 17 games. It's not like the NBA 82 games or freaking baseball 160 games. Like, okay, if you stink one game, well, yeah, you got 160 some more to go. Fine. This is a much more, it's much more concentrated season. And yeah, you work towards your performance. You perform. If you perform like crap, that should really, really bother you. And you shouldn't, just because it's the first game, you shouldn't just sit on it. Now, it's interesting because, like, and Rick can attest to this too. It's not like Rick or I in football were super vocal leaders. But there were some weird games where you'd be playing and all of a sudden stuff's not clicking and guys are just kind of not playing the way they normally would. And somebody has to speak up to like right the ship in those games. And if everybody just kind of stays in their little area, I'm with my position group and I'm talking to the tight ends or I'm talking to the quarterbacks, I'm talking to the receivers, and nobody rallies the whole unit together and is like, look, we got to fix this now. Like, I don't know what the hell is your problem or what's going on, but get your head on straight and let's work towards the common goal and do this the way we practice all week long. If somebody doesn't do that, then it just keeps puttering along and you misfire. And I think that's what you saw from the Packers last week. You didn't see anybody doing that. And then after the game, yeah, it was disappointing to hear I understand their mindset. It's the first game, 16 more to go. You can't freak out after one game. I get all that. But games are precious, especially in the NFL. And if you drop one like that, you better come back this week and look like you really are trying to make a statement, not just an average game. Like, this better be a tune-up, kick some butt game.
Well, I think a lot of people are listening and they're like, what are you guys talking about? Singing crap. And how's that having to do with football? And listen, you said it when you showed up and we had the all-male choir. It's like, and before every concert, we would have a guy go up and give a speech before the concert. Yep. I mean, it was a lot like like, when you have the big dog does the thing or whoever does the speech before the game and all that. Like, we would have that. Like, a guy would come up. Eckes has done it a couple of times. I did it my last year. And you got to try to get everybody in the right headspace to perform at the best they can and to realize that we need everybody here to do their job the best they can and pay attention at all times, and we'll dominate. And a lot of times we did. We were like the number one male choir in the whole, like one of the best in the United States. And we had a lot of guys who weren't music majors, including Jason, Eckes, Mo, Andy Browner, who's on here all the time. None of those guys are music majors, but they were good singers and they knew what they had to do. And I was a music major, yes, but I was a leader guy. And there are other guys like Browner was a leader. Mo was a leader. He was a treasurer at one time. I think Browner was vice president at one time of the, the whole whatever thing. And it's like, it's very similar where you have guys who, you have to get together and work together. And I think like even watching the game, I watched it back again, and there's points where like Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams and MVS are just kind of standing around talking to each other. It just feels weird. It feels like the offense has got like the wide receiver group and Rodgers are like one little click. And then the running backs and maybe the offensive line is like another click, or maybe even it's not even that, because Bakhtiari's not there. I think if Bakhtiari was on the field, it would be like the bridge between all the things. As weird as that sounds, I think not having Bakhtiari on the field really does hurt like the camaraderie of the whole team. I think he's a key guy because he kind of lightens things up, right?
Yep.
He's one of Rodgers' best buddies.
But he's also respected.
Offensive line. What's that?
He's also respected and a guy that'll say something to you if you're not, not meeting your standard or his standard.
Well, it's weird because all the captains on the Packers, this is the first year where there wasn't an offensive lineman who was a captain on the offense, right?
Right.
Last year, I think it was Corey Linsley and Aaron Rodgers, right? This year, you got Devontae and you got Big Dog and you got Aaron Rodgers. And it's like, that's all the skill guys, the flashy guys. And I don't know who's voting for this stuff, but it just seems a little weird. I don't know. But I think they need to somehow get together on some stuff.
They absolutely do need. Sorry, I was listening to you, but I had to text somebody back because we're doing a recording here in a little bit.
Oh yeah,
for a different gig.
You gotta get going here.
Yeah, in a little bit. But he told me we need to push it back a few minutes, so I told him that's fine. But anyway, yeah, I think there's and the thing is too, like everybody's gonna say this is all Aaron Rodgers and the things with Aaron Rodgers. I don't think it is. It's this whole team. It's Devontae Adams in the contract situation. It's guys coming back who are, like Big Dog and stuff like that, who are supposed to be, okay, they're back because they're trying to win a championship before they retire. And then you make all these shifts with these young guys on the offensive line that you drafted that are supposed to be, taking over, but then you're kicking out other guys. There's a lot. And then you have some of the players like on defense recognizing that Zadarius Smith is highly overrated. And Zadarius Smith is a me guy. Like, he's out for the stats. He plays the game with the mindset of, how am I going to make that one big play to get me recognition and the stats and the Pro Bowls and the money? He doesn't play the game like, I'm going to do my best every single play. He picks his spots. And you have defensive guys recognizing that. So there's a lot of fracturing. It would be okay. Hey, it would be okay if he had that mindset and he had Clay Matthews' motor. But he doesn't have the motor, right? He only wants to he wants to be a big play, big name, Pro Bowl defensive player of the year guy. Right.
But he doesn't go all out on every play. He goes all out like 20% of the time. Not like Charles Woodson and Clay Matthews, who would go out on every play. And they were the leaders of the defense. And it was clear they were the leaders of the defense because they went out and proved they were the leaders of the defense. Or Mike Daniels, who on the game I watched earlier today, he was in the backfield constantly messing crap up.
Yep. Mike Daniels
doesn't get back there all the time. He makes one or two plays. Mike Daniels, who was he's like the sixth or seventh guy on my list of guys that were on that team. And he was in the backfield at least 8 times, making some kind of play on defense or getting to the quarterback or causing something to get messed up. And then somebody else made a tackle, but he was back there first and screwed the whole play up. And Zadarius doesn't do that crap.
And he played hard every play.
Yeah.
I just want guys to play. Like I've said before, I would be totally fine with Zadarius. I don't care what the stats are. If he played hard every play, I'd be totally fine with him. But he doesn't. That's just the fact. He does not play hard every play. And I don't have room for guys that make that much money that don't play hard every play. If you're going to play like that, then you should be like a rotational guy that comes in once in a while. So you have the energy, you play hard during your 30 snaps because those are the only snaps you're going to get. But he's like, I'm going to get 70. I'm going to get 60, maybe 70 snaps each game. So, sometimes I'll just shut her down. No, that's not good enough, man.
You know what else? I was watching, I can't remember if I watched a lot of games today because I had off.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was the Raiders game against the Steelers or if it was the 49ers against the Bengals, but it was something like that where it was either the Steelers defense or the 49ers defense, where there was a dump off pass to the wide receiver. It was like 3rd and 9, and it was like a 7-yard pass. And the corner who was on him, and no, it wasn't a receiver. It was like a tight end or somebody big. I think it might have been the Ravens and the Raiders, but I could be wrong. Or the Steelers and the Ravens. And the Steelers guy caught it. And then even the Raider, like the first Raider guy got there to tackle him. And then all of a sudden there was like 5 or 6 more dudes all rushing to the ball. And by the time the play was done, there was like 8 or 9 guys around the tackle to prevent that guy from getting the first down. When was the last time as a Packer fan you can remember seeing a Packers defense rush to a play, a rush to the ball where you saw even 6 guys getting to the ball, much less 8 guys getting to the ball? But this game I watched, I can't remember if it was the Steelers going against the Raiders or the Raiders against the Steelers or the 49ers against the Lions or something like that. But it was like everywhere. Like the pass would be there, and all of a sudden, boom, here's 7 dudes there tackling, or like at least getting in the play. Because the first guy didn't bring him down. You know what I mean? How many times you watch a Packers happen where the first guy gets there and then the tight end will break the tackle and he'll fall forward and he'll get the first down? And this game I was watching, the first guy got there, held him as much as he could, and all of a sudden here's another guy. Bam, bam. It took 4 guys to bring the tight end down because he was trying to get the first down. He was 2 yards away, but he didn't get there. And then they had to punt. And it's like the Packers don't do that crap. Packers defense, we don't have guys who rush to the ball. We just don't. We have guys who don't want to get involved.
They have to decide what kind of defense they want to be. And they brought in a totally different guy with a totally different mindset as the D coordinator, right? And everybody says, oh, they love Joe Barry. He's so positive. He's got such great energy. Well, then play for him, because you didn't want to play hard for Mike Pettin or have that, attacking mentality for Mike Pettin. So play hard for this guy then. And if that doesn't work, maybe you need a guy who's going to get on your ass. I don't know. Ben, I just got word. We got a couple more minutes here. So I want to wrap them up because I think we've gone a little, I don't know. We've gone a little on it's reality. And the first game still stunk. And there's still a lot of concerns because the Lions will play hard. We know the Lions are going to play hard. And we know the Packers in recent years have had a lot of close games against the Lions that they could have lost. They could have lost a number of those games. So let's finish with what are some reasons to be confident tonight for the Packers game?
Well, I think it's obvious. They'll look at the tape. They'll have a plan. If for some reason the Lions play that cover 2 shell or whatever it is, they'll have a plan now to go up against that, whatever that is. And hopefully Rodgers will be able to communicate that plan with everybody and they'll know what's going on. I think what happened last week was they were expecting the Saints to play exactly the same way they played last year because it was such a close game. And then they came out and played that cover 2 shell, worried about the pass and not worried about the run at all. And then I don't think there was a way for Rodgers to communicate to everybody and change the plays out there to be in plays that can go up against that type of thing. But also, now they've had a week to go over that. So I think that's a good thing. I think Rodgers knows as well, hey, I need to dump the ball off a little bit. I need to maybe stick with the run instead of changing it from a run to a pass when I think I need to do it because I feel like I want to make a big play. All that kind of stuff. Plus, like you said, the Lions got some scrub guy, like their fourth corner is now their number 1 corner. So, I mean, that's a pretty positive thing when you have 7 wide receivers active for the game. Hey, one of those 7 should be able to beat that 1 4th string corner on the Lions, who's now their 1st string corner.
You would assume that there's no way that guy should be able to cover Devontae Adams if Devontae Adams is as good as he thinks he is, right? You would assume. You'd assume Devontae Adams should be open every single play, every single pass play, right?
Well, but that's not what we want.
No, we don't.
Rodgers will look at him every single play, and then it will be a 3-and-out.
We still want the Packers to run the ball. And remember that running the ball set up so much good stuff for their pass game last year. They need to get back to that, not these empty sets. Okay, I already gave you one of my reasons to be confident is Darius Smith not being in. I know it's kind of a negative reason, but it's a good reason because I think Rashawn Gary shows up tonight, and I think Preston Smith comes out with a little extra fire tonight, and I like it. I'll like it. Another reason to be confident is I think with another week under their belt and having their first official game under the belt and this actual starting line together, I think the offensive line will be better. I think Royce Newman and Josh Myers will be better. I don't expect Billy Turner to be any better because he's always the same, but at least those 2 guys will be better. LP is back and going to be out there. So that's good. He'll help those guys know what they're doing. And Jenkins was pretty good. And the other reason to be confident for me is I think Rodgers and Matt LaFleur learned, especially after last week's game, yeah, hey, we got to run the ball here. So I don't care what's going on. I really do think you're going to see a lot of Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon tonight, and the Packers trying to sustain drives because they don't want their defense to be stuck on the field forever. They want to give those guys a break. So those are some reasons to be confident from me.
Sweet.
All right. What's your final score prediction, Ben?
I don't know.
All right, I'll get mine. I'm going to say Packers 30, Lions 23 tonight. Packers get their first win of the season and division win.
I'll say 24-19 Packers win.
Whoo.
That's a weird score, but that's what I think is going to happen.
All right, last production. Jamal Williams. Does Jamal Williams get a touchdown tonight or not?
Probably.
I agree. Jamal Williams, he'll probably get one touchdown. If he gets close, they'll let him in. They'll be just like, yeah, you're a good guy.
Wait a minute. They won't do that. They better not.
Well, let's say it's late in the game or something and they got a lead. They want to see Jamal Williams dance. All the Packers still want to see Jamal Williams dance. That's guaranteed. Right?
They shouldn't. Because if he's dancing, then Lions are doing something good, and they need them to do things bad. So, no.
As long as it's not a touchdown that hurts in the end result, I'm okay with it. All right. We got to run. Enjoy the game tonight. We hope it's a Packers win so they can keep pace with the Bears. The Bears are in first place. Ugh. Anyway, we're just lucky the Vikings still have that terrible luck with kickers. It continues on. No matter how many times they change the kicker, it's always the same result. Insane.
And their kicker is now with the Raiders, and he's winning games for the Raiders at the end. It's hilarious. By the way, Rick, Derek Carr is killing it.
Woo!
Derek Carr is killing it. The Raiders can't even run the ball. They average like 2-point-something yards a carry last game. But Derek Carr is throwing for 400 yards. He's got like over 800 yards in 2 games. He's not throwing a lot of touchdowns, but he's just making stuff happen, man. He's making stuff happen. Hunter Renfrow, man. Woo! That guy was making some catches.
Nice.
I'm almost a Raiders fan.
You should be. Join Eric on the
watch.
Join him on the dark side. Side. Double Doink says 34-27 Packers. Enjoy the game. We'll catch you guys for a follow-up show later in the week. Peace out. Be good.